Welcome to the Resurgence Athletics Podcast. This is episode 3. My name is Dr. Ryan Goodell.
And I'm Dr. Lucas Nogueira.
Today we're talking about shoes, running shoes, footwear, something that everybody uses.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of things changing over the years with footwear. And Nike spearheaded the original running shoe, right?
I believe so. Maybe.
Yeah. Didn't they have a book about that, like Shoe Dogs or something, like way back? Not way back, but more recently.
Yeah.
I think they talked about the creation of Nike. Haven't read that one yet. But you recently, going back to our first podcast, you got a rubber ring now.
I did, yes.
You found
I have a silicone ring. I don't know if you guys can see it from that far away, but haven't tested it out with lifting yet, but
good for running.
Good for running. Definitely good for running.
Didn't go with the Aura ring or the Samsung Galaxy ring.
Didn't throw down $400 or $500 for one of those, but stay tuned.
Stay tuned, maybe in the future.
Might do an impulsive buy sometime.
Right. So we're getting into running shoes today. So big topic. Depending on how you run, whether you're a heel striker, forefoot striker, I am personally a midfoot striker. And what are you?
I'm more of a heel striker.
Heel striker. Okay, so we definitely have different shoes that we like.
Oh, yeah.
Then, and with heel strikers, I already know you love a nice cushiony.
Definitely need some cushion.
Heel cushion.
A lot of cushion.
A lot of cushion in the back. Yeah. And more recently, I've seen on a lot of the new running shoes, they have that. It almost looks like they're curved, like a C shape, right? And to get that from the heel contact, roll through the foot, good
smooth,
ankle rocker
nice
action,
transition.
Give you that forward propulsion.
There are downsides to it, though.
Yeah. I absolutely hate those shoes. That is, if you're a midfoot or forefoot striker, that is probably not a shoe that you would like. So personally, I stay away from those, and I veer more towards like a flat minimalist. I still want the cushion. Like, yes, you still want the cushion. You don't want like a barefoot shoe when you're running, especially if you're gonna be clocking more mileage in. But some cushion, but I don't like the drop at all.
Yeah.
And if you're a heel striker, you're more naturally predisposed to shin splints. And if you're a forefoot striker, you're probably going to get more Achilles type stuff, depending on how your foot hits the ground. If we're looking at shoes and you want to get a better idea of your foot contact, wear patterns on the bottom of your shoe. Do you have weird wear patterns?
I do, yes. So I have a very high arch.
Okay.
So I have a tendency of putting most of my weight on the outer portions of my feet. So if you were to take my shoe now, you'd see that wear and tear on that outer portion.
So you kind of like evert your foot a little bit, or invert your foot. So
invert my foot.
Invert your foot. So,
but then I try to evert to compensate.
Right, because the opposite would be that foot collapse position where you see people's like arches totally like fall.
Yep.
And they wear on like the insides of their shoes a little bit more.
So if anything about like peroneal tendonitis,
Yeah. Because of that posterior tibialis tendon coming right to the high part of your arch, getting worn down and aggravated. And then I've seen a lot of the running shoes recently, the materials that they're making them out of. Yeah. Because, it's like, I think about it, if you were to walk around with an ankle weight on the bottom of your foot, the heavier that thing is, because your leg is a huge lever arm. Yeah. And so from an efficiency standpoint, the lighter the shoe, the better. It's going to feel like more natural, and it's going to be less cumbersome to have on your foot, especially if you're running, because every ounce matters. And I feel like they've been trying to make shoes lighter and lighter and lighter. And the lighter you go with materials, I feel like the less durable they end up being, right?
This is true.
And so I've had running shoes where I run in them for like a month, and then it's just
downhill.
It's just worn away, and the sole is gone. The foam fabric that they're making with the shoe is just not good. But I've most recently tried out a pair of the Adidas Ultra Boosts, which I'm pretty sure you would love to run in, because they do have that chunky heel, and
feel great.
I wasn't a fan of them. They have a plastic little plate in the bottom of them, though. And
I didn't know.
Yeah, so like Adidas Ultra Boost had a little plastic plate in the bottom of it, so it's firmer. So when you get that heel strike, it kind of flexes it. It's the same concept as the carbon fiber. So it flexes a little bit, absorbs elastic energy, and then as you roll over it, releases it. So it should add a little bit to the forward propulsion. I don't know mechanically if it's really given that much,
or faster,
or maybe your foot strike has to be perfect to like load it up and then it releases the energy. But those are some developments I've seen in the footwear recently. But huge, like arched, looking heels with the roll going through.
How about the colors? How about the colors?
Oh, the colors are. I don't. Who's picking shoe colors? I have some beef.
Pink.
I have some beef with this. Like, you just spin the color wheel and whatever it lands on, that's the color that you pick. And then you're like, all right, pick 5 because we need as many colors as possible in a shoe. Like, I'm like, give me the black shoe because running shoes get dirty. So I want darker color, black shoe, white sole maybe, or black sole, and just.
You can't get that nowadays.
Oh, the colors. The color schemes on these things are just absurd. Maybe if you want to be spotted on the road, maybe that's part of it too, because you wear the reflective vest, shoes.
If you're doing any like nighttime or early morning runs,
just
might be beneficial.
Running neon color down the street, no one's gonna miss you.
Exactly.
And then going back to material and weight of the shoe and like what they're making them out of. I saw on Cloud had a new, what do they call it, light printing or light spray technology. It looks like they're 3D printing. There's like a mold of a foot, and they're basically taking like a robotic arm that has the mold, and there's like a 3D printer, and they're just spraying this like fabric-y type material on there, and called light spray technology. And I guess 3D printing a shoe. They said they can make a shoe in like 3 minutes. But that gets us back to like how durable is that? Because if you need some type of structural integrity to the shoe, is that going to be durable? And running shoes, you're really only going one direction, right? You're going forwards. And so you really don't need a lot of like medial or lateral buildup on the sides because you're not moving side to side. You're not doing agility things. So you're never going to see that lateral buildup in a shoe, which is what you would see in like a sports shoe, basketball, soccer. You would need some type of like lateral buildup. So when you change directions, you're not going to blow out the sides of your shoes. Like I used to do that a lot when I was a kid, like with a running shoe, because you're a kid, you just got a pair of running shoes on, running around outside and with your friends. And then just I'd go turn and bam, right out the side of the shoe.
Even now, like
all the time.
I'll play tennis like with my friends and I'll just go into any shoes, my running shoes.
Yeah,
and I'm doing those lateral movements, and then there goes my shoe just ripping off the side.
Can't play tennis in running shoes.
You can't.
So there's a different shoe for everything too, like trail running, basketball, field
road
sports.
Running,
You got cleats. Like even between cleats, there's huge differences. Like in baseball, you have metal spikes on the bottom. You ever seen baseball spikes? And you're using metal spikes, and in soccer, you have the little rubber turf spikes. And track and field sprinting shoes, they have those really itty bitty spikes in the bottom. So there's specialized shoes for everything. And if you're doing some type of agility sport or multi-directional sport other than running, you got to have that lateral buildup on the side. And even the cross trainer shoes, like you see them in the Nike Metcons, with rope climbing, they have that really hard plastic on the inside and the outside. Have you ever seen the running shoes when people try to wear running shoes and they're doing like a rope climb and they slide down the rope, right? And you see this big gouged out portion of the sole of the shoe where the rope is just burned through it.
Burned right through,
Yeah. So running shoes are so specific for running, I think. And as you start to get into other things like tennis or other types of sports, they're just not made for that. And even trail running shoes are totally different because you need a firmer sole. You're running on different surfaces, especially with the running shoes. I try to avoid anything in the sole where certain brands have them. I think Nike might have one on Cloud with the channel that isn't there in the sole. It's just hollowed out channel in the middle of the foot. I pick up so many rocks when I'm running around with those. And even though they're made for the road, there's stuff in the road all the time. And I'll be running along, I'm like, I gotta
And you're
pull
just like
this
kicking
out of
your
my
foot
shoe.
around, trying to get it out, look like
yeah.
a crazy person on the
So,
side of the road.
depending on where you run, what your foot structure is,
yeah.
there's a shoe for everybody, and there's no perfect shoe, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they even make in some of the shoes they have the carbon fiber plate. Hoka does that, right?
They do, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's better for some people, like people who have arthritic feet. Like I know somebody who has their big toe, the great toe, the ball joint.
Yeah.
They have a lot of problems there. So when their toe extends back, like when they're pushing off of their foot, really bothers them.
Yeah.
And especially if people have developed like osteophytes or some type of arthritis in their big toe, the carbon plate's great for them because they don't leverage and push through that joint like they would. So that's a good feature for certain types of people.
Yeah.
Not others. And if you play certain sports or certain activities, you're going to need a different kind of shoe. But some of the things that I've most recently seen out there, like they're playing around with the materials, the durability, the weight of the shoe, what types of activities. I feel like shoes are more specialized than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
And the old dominant shoe brands, Nike, Adidas, there's a lot more on the market now than just that.
So I currently run in Hokas. I've ran in all of these. I run in the Hokas. Although they give you that more like cushion feel, they've done a really good job at keeping the shoe very light, relatively light for the amount of cushion they give you. Like the older shoes, if you wanted cushion, you had to give at the weight of the shoe. These shoes, they feel pretty light still. They're not like weighing you down, versus some of the older ones. The older Nikes, older Adidas, where they were bulky, heavy, like cumbersome to just run in. So, yeah. They've done a good job at keeping them relatively light.
Yeah. Well, this has been Shoes 1.0. We're definitely going to talk about shoes in the future. I feel like that's something that's always changing and developing. But we'll return back to the shoes conversation. We'll try out a couple more.
Oh, yeah.
We'll keep some updates. So if anybody wants to send us any shoes or make any recommendations, leave that in the comments below. And we'll see you next time. This has been episode 3 of the Resurgence Athletics podcast. And the sponsor for today is us again. So if anybody's looking to sponsor the show too, feel free to reach out, like, comment, share, send it to your friends. If you are a runner, let us know your favorite running shoe is, and maybe we'll talk about it next time.